what advice would you give to students who share your thought processes, but they may also be afraid to speak up for fear of being ridiculed, or maybe they don't feel like they're prepared or knowledgeable enough to have the type of debate that is required?
I would see that just with kids in the classroom. Some are just really intimidated, and for many different reasons. Some kids are, they have very low reading scores and they want to hide, and other kids, have got some experience where they want to show off what they have. So, what I felt and what me and the dean both wanted to make this field station work is, one thing is to get kids out into the environment as much as possible, because it's almost the urban centers that get all their environmental information from the internet, and they don't have the experience to judge it. But rural people, and it's almost why you have Democrats, Republicans. The rural people tend to be more conservative, the Democrats more urban.
Yeah.
And their opinions on climate seem to break down on those levels. And you really got to be outdoors and feel it. And my experience in the Sierras, I could feel the effects of El Nino. I could see what was going on. I could see how you get a La Nina one year in drought. Other years you get heavy snowfall, and it would cause everything to change and things to bloom at different times. And there's just those little insights that you get from being out there. The understanding of what a thermal inversion is. You try to teach someone that who has never experienced it, they know what I'm talking about. But you're out in the country where people are burning wood stoves, and you see the smoke go straight up. It goes about 100 feet up, and then it goes sideways. There's like this glass ceiling, and you go, well, why is it doing that? Well, it's because the air above can't cool fast enough as the ground can, so it stops it. And that teaches us about how air circulation affects temperature and everything else. So there's just a ton of different things like that. I used when I take classes with kids, the field station, I maybe say tell the kids to come take classes up at the field station, but I have an infrared temperature gun, and I could put it on a wet meadow that as it goes up, it dries out. And I can have between just 100 yards, 60 or 70 degree difference in the surface temperature just due to wetness. And so you could see how much dryness as we have dried out a lot of things, we have caused temperatures to go up, not because climate change caused it, but because we affected the landscape and dried it out. So, all those insights you have by being immersed in nature for months every year, you want kids to get out in it. You want adults to get out in it. And, so I used to bring kids, I had a once a month, we'll call it just a nature club, and I'd just bring them out hiking and
I would have loved that if I was in school.
And I would try to get them to look for different things. And sometimes I would have scavenger hunts. We go to a tide pool, and I'd say, okay, I'll give $5 to the group can find the most different things. You don't have to name it, but I'd have ID books where they could try to name it. Or once I said, well, let's go look for fungus. And they go, yeah, is it $5 whoever gets the most different? And they're looking under everything. You just need a little incentive to get them out of their comfort zone, where they would bring tons of stuff, and they become very observant, and they're flipping over rocks and finding stuff that sometimes I wouldn't see. So it was really cool. I have kids just say thank you for that. And
no, it's so important to get them out of the classroom, an experience like that. One quote that you have in your book that relates to this is a quote by Mark Twain, which you put a lot of quotes in your book, which I really appreciate, because I feel like those snippets of dialogue really illuminate the information and sort of give us a burst of wisdom. And not only do you have literary, figures with their quotes, but you also have scientists and researchers. So that's something that I really appreciate.
I didn't want it just to be the mind of Jim,
Yeah.
broad-based.
Exactly. But you wrote in your book a quote by Mark Twain, who said, "It's wiser to find out than suppose." And it really does bring forth the notion that you need to go out into the field and educate yourself that way as well, rather than solely relying on a book or relying on just being in the classroom for your information. And you would probably say that this is your philosophy as well. And would you also say that maybe students and individuals in our culture are so used to having information, at the touch of a button, that they don't really feel the need to discover these elements firsthand and in person?
I think that's part of it. You kind of sometimes you want to go with whoever the popular kids are or the popular science is. And so I think sometimes people are approval junkies. They want to say, well, okay, these top people said this, so I think it too. And they don't go any further because they just want to say, I agree with them. And they don't have the time to dig in critically. They haven't been given in the schools the ability to critically think or the room for it. And if you want to get an A on the test, you really have to regurgitate back what the teacher says. You usually don't get a good grade for critical thinking. So I think the whole system is sort of stacked against critical thinking. And the first scientific society Isaac Newton was the president of was nullius in verba, meaning take no one's word for it. You have to test it. You have to try it out. But now it's like you take our word for it or you're anti-science. And it's just reversed exactly what science is, the whole process of it. And and I just say, well, people say, well, it's 97% consensus, I'll believe this. Well, that's absolute BS. There's 97% of the people who believe in global warming by CO2.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of, if you read all the literature, and I read, I'd say close to 50 academic papers a week. I'm retired, but I'm just hungry for as much as I can. And being an ecologist, I can, I go into the geology and paleoclimate, and you look at different biological issues and how landscape changes have happened, and et cetera, et cetera. And there's just a ton of stuff, and not everybody agrees. And then you realize that 97% is political theater to make everybody buy into what you want to say. I put my videos on YouTube, and they stick on a thing from Wikipedia that says, well, this is climate change, and climate change is due to human factors, and it's happening faster than it's ever happened in nature, which is a lie. I can cite you 100 times of things that have happened much quicker, but the media is sort of trying to make us think in just one way. And when I was in high school, I read 1984, and I wondered, how could people just start going in for this double talk where, good is bad and bad is good? And it's happening now. I see, well, this cold front is due to global warming. And I go, well, wait a second. And there's all this twist. So, if you don't believe my hypothesis, you don't believe in science. Well, no, I believe in the process. I believe in us talking. Can we have I had some people, I said, well, let's just have a discussion. And they said, well, no, you're just going to have a snappy answer. Well, I've been doing this for 30 years. Of course, I got some answers for you, but they don't want to have their minds changed.
No.
They're in that comfort zone. Well, I agree with this 97% that has been fabricated, but it gives people some kind of comfort. And so the beauty about the coalition, you have a number of really good scientists that are good critical thinkers, and they don't always agree. And all the skeptics don't agree on everything. I have battles with skeptics too, but that's what makes it work.